opening the galaxy, is vast. It is filled with civilizations older and greater than our own. Some bend the fabric of space. Some consume stars to fuel their empires. Others travel in living fleets that darken entire worlds. Among them, humanity is young. Humanity is fragile. But fragility is not weakness. This is the story of Kadesh 4. The story of the day when humanity showed the galaxy what it truly means. To endure, Chapter 1, a fragile colony, Kadesh, for was not a jewel of the stars. It was a red world, hot and dry, with deserts stretching for thousands of miles. The settlers called it the furnace. 10,000 colonists lived beneath a dome of steel and glass. Miners dug into the mountains for iron and cobalt. Farmers grew food in sealed greenhouses. Children ran through narrow streets beneath artificial skies. It was not easy, but humans had never chosen easy. To survive here meant to fight the land itself. And the colonists were proud of that fight. Captain Elias Vorn commanded the colony guard. He was not a decorated general. He was not famous. He was simply a soldier who believed in protecting his people. He wore old armor, scratched and faded, but his eyes were sharp and steady. Every evening, he would walk the walls of the dome, watching the twin suns set over the jagged mountains. He believed he could keep his people safe. He was wrong. Chapter 2. The coming of the swarm, the first signs came as whispers in the void. Long-range probes vanished. Outposts went silent. The traitors who dared to speak told dark tales of entire colonies wiped clean. And then the sky burned. On the 5th day of the month of Solis, the swarm arrived. The Drath. They descended from orbit in black, writhing shapes. Living ships, covered in wings and claws, like nightmares given flesh. When their vessels split open, millions of creatures poured out. Insects the size of wolves. Beasts with claws sharp enough to cut steel. Wings that turned the sky into shadow. The alarm sirens screamed across Kadesh 4. The people of the furnace had only moments to prepare. Captain Vorn gathered his guard at the barricades. Civilians fled into shelters. Families huddled in fear. The Drath landed outside the dome and began tearing at the walls. Other civilizations would have run, but there was nowhere to run. So humanity stood. Chapter 3. The first night was chaos. Gunfire rattled against the swarm. Explosions lit the desert. The dome shook under the claws of the Drath. Vorn's soldiers fought in the streets. Ordinary miners picked up rifles and fought beside them. Engineers turned welding torches into weapons. Doctors carried stretchers one moment and fired pistols the next. Children ran water to the front lines. The elderly sharpened tools into blades. Everywhere, humans fought. The swarm was endless. For every Drath that fell, 10 more crawled over the walls. Their wings filled the skies. Their screeches cut through the night. But the humans did not break. Captain Vorn's voice echoed over the comms. Hold the line. This world is ours. If they want it, they will crawl over our bones. And so they fought, hour after hour, until dawn. When the first sun rose, the streets of Kadesh, for were soaked with blood, Drath and human alike. But the colony still stood. Chapter 4. The second day was worse. The Draths swarmed in greater numbers. They crawled through the broken sections of the dome. They flooded into the streets. Ammunition began to run low. The guards fired slower, saving every round. When rifles failed, colonists fought with knives. When knives broke, they fought with stones. Exhaustion set in. Eyes burned. Hands trembled. But no one stopped. A miner named Joran led a group of civilians with nothing but pickaxes. They held a barricade for 6 hours before they fell. A medic named Lyra turned her clinic into a fortress. When the swarm came, she defended her patients with surgical blades. When she was dragged down, her patients picked up those blades and fought in her name. Stories spread through the colony like fire. Every act of resistance gave strength to the next. The people were not soldiers, but they were human, and humanity does not yield. Chapter 5. The third night, by the third night, the colony was in ruins. The dome had collapsed in half its sections. The streets burned. Bodies lay everywhere. The survivors huddled in the central square. Captain Vorn stood before them, his armor broken, his face lined with exhaustion. But his eyes still burned with fire. He raised his rifle, cracked and near useless, and spoke. "They think we will break. They think we will surrender. But we are not broken. We are not beaten. We are human. And as long as we breathe, this world is ours." The crowd answered with a roar. And then the swarm came again. The humans fought in the ruins. They fought with every breath, every drop of blood, every ounce of strength left. Parents fought to protect their children. Children fought to protect their parents. No one stood aside. The Drath had never seen anything like it. They had devoured countless worlds, but never one that refused to kneel. For 3 days and nights, the humans of Kadesh fought without rest. And on the fourth dawn, the swarm hesitated. Chapter 6. The withdrawal. The Drath are predators. They hunt the weak. They devour the broken. But humanity was not weak. Humanity was not broken. The swarm pulled back. Not because they had been destroyed. Not because they could not kill the humans. But because they could not understand them. Predators move on when prey refuses to fall. So the Drath left. The skies cleared. The desert fell silent. And the people of Kadesh stood among the ruins, battered and bloodied, but alive. Chapter 7. The legacy. The galaxy had watched. Through distant probes and hidden observers, other civilizations had seen the battle. They expected humanity to be wiped away, as so many had before them. But instead, they saw something terrifying. A species that would not break. A species that would not surrender. The Elorians called them the Iron Will. The Vaer named them the fire that burns forever. Even the Drath gave them a word in their ancient tongue, Unyielding. From that day, the galaxy no longer saw humanity as fragile. They saw humanity for what it truly was, a force that could never be conquered. And Captain Elias Vorn, standing in the ruins of his colony, whispered to his people, "We are still here. And as long as we stand, humanity will never fall." Closing. That was Kadesh 4. The furnace. The world where ordinary men, women, and children defied extinction. The day humanity showed the stars the truth. We may not be the strongest. We may not be the oldest. We may not be the greatest. But we are human, and we endure